Hello, hi, my name is Mnyaradzi Kava and welcome to my part 4 final video. So in this video, I'll be talking about virtualization. Then I also talk about several roles and features. And lastly, I'll talk about Active Directory in a business environment. So to start with, a virtual machine, right? Think of a virtual machine as a software-based computer. Just imagine your physical computer, but existing as software. Now that's what a virtual machine is. So it runs on physical hardware using a hypervisor. Even though it behaves like a normal physical computer, it safely shares hardware resources with other virtual machines. Right. So moving on to the components, the most important component of a virtual machine is the hypervisor. Right. This is the layer between the physical and your virtual machine. Right. So now the hypervisor, right, manages and divides physical resources such as CPU, memory, storage, and networking among its virtual machines. It also keeps each virtual machine isolated from others. Examples include the Microsoft Hyper-V, VMware, and one I've been using in IT125, Proxmox. So the next component is the virtual central processing unit. As we all know, for all PCs to function, they do need a CPU, right? This is also split by the hypervisor so that each virtual machine receives processing power, right? Next up, we do have virtual memory, right? In this one, I would like to mention that each virtual machine is assigned RAM, random access memory, so that it can operate independently and be able to run its own softwares. And the next one is the virtual network interface card, or the virtual NIC. So I remember this other day when I was setting up my virtual machine in Proxmox server. Under network, I had to choose which one which interface rather I had to use, and in that particular assignment, I had to use VIMBR, VIMR, right? 0. Then other options that were present, right, included the VIMBR0 para virtualized, right? So those are some kind of network interface card that do exist in virtualization, right? Finally, we do have what is known as a guest operating system. Why a guest operating system? Because a server already has its own operating system, right? But for us to be able to run our VMs, we do need a guest OS. And this guest OS will enable us to run our software applications, right? So examples include Linux, and we also have Windows Server. Like in this course, Cloud Server Admin, I've been using Windows 2025 Data Center Edition, right, to do my assignments. That's one example of an operating system that I was using. So in a business setting, virtualization now allows server consolidation. Picture this. Imagine of buying multiple physical servers. A company can run several virtual machines on just one powerful. One server could host a domain controller, a DC, a file server, a database server, and a web server. Just one. It also reduces the hardware cost, electricity usage, and physical space, because I'm sure one server cannot take up the whole room rather. A small space in the corner can be sufficient, right? So moving on, sorry, virtualization also improves disaster recovery. Using cloud platforms like Microsoft Azure or AWS, virtual machines can be replicated, right, and restored quickly in the event of hardware failure. Put back on your feet in the event of failure. In addition, right, virtualization allows administrators, the admins, to take snapshots before updates or major changes, such that if something goes wrong, they can easily roll back to the previous version, right? Next up, the difference between server roles and server features. These two are different, but pay attention to this, they work hand in hand. So a server role defines the main function of a server, the main function of a server. It determines what the server is designed to do within a network. For example, the DC, the domain controller, right? That's a role there. Then another one, we could have a file server for file sharing, or the web server, right? On the other hand, a server feature is an additional capability, rather, that supports or enhances a server role. Imagine an additional feature that supports a DC, that supports a file server or a web server. Right? It is not the primary job of a server. A feature is not a primary role of a is not a primary job, sorry, of the server, but it adds functionality to that server, right? E.g., backup tools in a file server, or maybe encryption or failover clustering, right? Now, to determine which roles and features are needed, right, I will need to evaluate the organization's business requirements. Then I would consider what services must be provided, how many, for example, how many people connect and what security level is required. Let me give you an example. If a company needs a centralized login management and authentication, I would install the ADDS. Now, the ADDS, or the Active Directory Domain Server role, involves the selection of roles and features that aligns, that will be specific to the login and management of to the login management, sorry, and authentication, right? User authentication. Now, this selection of roles in general, of roles and features, should always align, right, with the business goals, performance needs, and security policies. Right. Moving on to the next one, the purpose of an Active Directory now in AD. So let me start by saying an AD is a service that provides centralized, right, management of users, computers, and resources within a domain. Right. Its primary purpose is to authenticate and authorize. Now, picture this: authentication. Right. This is authentication. It verifies the user's identity. Who is logging in? Who are you? Then authorization. You've been authenticated successfully. Now, what are you authorized to access? What are you authorized to use? That's authorization. It determines what resources a user can run. For example, an admin has different access to a standard account or a guest account. So they may be authenticated into the system, right? Meaning to say their identity is established, is verified. So is verified. Yes, this is me, the admin Munya, logging into my DC. Right, I can be authenticated successfully if I use the correct details. But What I am able to access is different from a guest account or just an ordinary standard account. So an AD organizes users. It also organizes computers, right, into groups and OUs. Now OUs, they are organizational units. This makes our management structured and scalable. So an AD also uses a GP, group policy. Enforces security. It's all about security when it comes to GP, right? To enforce security settings across the entire domain. For example, administrators can require strong passwords, restrict certain access, certain settings, or automatically assign network drives to specific departments. For example, you are the HR, you are only allowed to access this drive or these drives, right? You are the accounting, you are only able to access these files, right? You are this user. I remember during this other assignment, I had to limit access of the control panel options for a certain user. That user only had to access network settings only. All other settings, I had to limit access to them. That's also one thing that can happen using AD, right? So Active Directory simplifies administration, it improves security and ensures centralized control. So just to sum up what I've been saying in this video, virtual machines they improve efficiency, reduces cost by allowing multiple systems to run on shared hardware with proper isolation, right? Server roles define what a server does, while the server features, enhance its capabilities. The server features enhances server roles, right? And Active Directory provides centralized authentication, resource management within a domain. Together, these technologies form the foundation of modern enterprise infrastructure and enable secure, scalable, and reliable IT operations. Thank you.